All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the April 26th meeting of the, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the April 26th meeting of the Social Circle Planning Commission. We do have a quorum present. We do have 2 members absent. If we would mind, we'll start on the end and state our name for the record.
Glenda Brown.
Valerie Walhart.
Scott Gaten.
Adolphus Gator.
Sonora Jackson.
Great, thank you. We have the minutes from the October 26th meeting. It's been a while since we've met, so I assume everyone had an opportunity to review these minutes. We'll entertain a motion to approve them if no one has any changes that need to be noted.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was in October.
Absolutely. We have
Yes, sir, we incorrect. Second.
a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. The next item is a public hearing for 3860 Social Circle Parkway. It's a new office and warehouse combination. This is a piece of property that is in the corridor bypass. It has an existing metal building that was constructed in 1996. The existing building is a legal non-conforming structure. Legal being that it was allowed and it was built, permitted in 96. Non-conforming because it currently does not conform with the requirements of the overlay district in terms of architectural standards. But other than that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Barber to introduce us to this property and request and go through the staff report before we open up the public hearing.
Sorry, we are having a parade today, but we'll try to work over that. All right, this is going to be a public hearing. It's an application to show the commission that this project will meet the requirements of the Highway Corridor Ordinance. This is parcel ID SC220009, consisting of 17.1 acres. It's at 3860 Social Circle Parkway. The property is zoned light industrial and is requesting a building permit on the highway corridor. Our primary goal of the highway corridor ordinance is to protect the character of these gateways while utilizing appropriate standards and criteria to direct future development. The objects also include safe and effective use of our roadways and encouragement of quality, sensible development in harmony with the rural character and historic elements of Social Circle. This is a showing of the site that when it was originally built and was a BAB corporation. You can see mainly all the box cars that are surrounding this property all the way to the driveway here. They were lined up years ago. That is no longer the same business. It is a different business. It's Diversified Plastics. This is our future land use map, and if you can see, there's a little corner spot right here, but it is 17 acres on that corner lot. That is the site. It is zoned light industrial, and that is the industrial character area. The industrial, in our highway corridor ordinance, it has a section for industrial zone properties. If they're greater than 3 acres and are limited to 60 feet of pavement between the frontage landscape strip and the primary structure. Parking in the front yard shall not exceed more than 2 spaces beyond either wall of the primary structure. Parking and loading areas for the trucks and heavy equipment do not require interior landscaping if located entirely behind the primary structure and is screened from the public roadway with evergreen buffers at least 12 feet in height at maturity. This is the front of the property. You can kind of see, this is the tree line, and then this is the spacing in between the tree line and the Social Circle Parkway. You can see it in the shadows back there a little bit about the blue building. And I have a few more. This picture shows after you get in the driveway, this will be where, apologize, I'm trying to find my mouse. It just does not want to stay where I got it. But anyway, the door on the side will show, this property here shows the driveway here at the side, and the new building would be built along the side of the front of this building. It's where, but it would be behind the back door of the rolling door there. They would not have it at level. It would be a little bit behind it. All right, and that's just a shot of the driveway going in. You can see the building there. It'll have some parking spaces up here, but it's well away from the road structure. And I have a landscape plan that I'll show you in just a second. I do want to mention that this is a corner landscape area, and they are required for these properties located on the Social Circle Parkway and East Hightower Trail. These corners form unique entries of our gateway leading to the heart of the city. Owners of said property shall install and maintain the corner landscape areas utilizing the established gateway requirements. This is a drawing that Mr. Oakes has provided us with, showing the existing building, the new building adding onto the front, and then some parking spaces added with handicap parking and landscaping with evergreen around that area. You'll see on this picture, you can see coming in the drive, it has lots of trees in the front and to the side, and I'll show you on this one. This is the driveway going in. We have the trees on the left, trees on the right. You can see some parking spaces over here, inside the gate, but that is actually when you're looking kind of at the front of it. Like I said, there's about a 3 or 4 page staff report in your package. I went through several other things that is required under our highway corridor to get a certificate of appropriateness. And the approval is for new construction. If properties within the corridors, no building permit shall be issued and no material change in the appearance of such property or of a structure, site, or work of art within the corridors shall be made or re-permitted to be made by the owner or occupant thereof unless or until the application for a certificate of appropriateness, a COA, has been submitted to and approved by the commission. The staff does recommend approval of the new construction with the landscaping around the parking area with evergreens and shrubbery. This property is greater than 3 acres and sod is not required. The frontage landscape must be at least 100 feet in depth. Perimeter landscape must be at least 50 feet in depth. And Chairman, that's all I have. Just giving a quick rundown on what I can find in our ordinance. And then I'm going to turn it back over to the Chairman.
Are there any questions for Barbara at this time? If not, we'll open up the public hearing. Looks like there's a whole bunch of people here. The applicant has 10 minutes to speak. You may reserve some time for rebuttal if you feel necessary. After the applicant has an opportunity to speak, then we'll open it up to anybody who would like to speak in favor of this application. Those in favor will likewise have 10 minutes total, not individual, to speak. After those who would like to speak in favor, the chair will call upon those who would like to speak in opposition. Those that would like to speak in opposition will have a total of 10 minutes as well. At the end of the opposition, the applicant will have the opportunity to use up any rebuttal time should he feel necessary. Upon closing the public hearing, the Planning Commission will deliberate and render a motion. With that said, Mr. Applicant, if you'd like to come up to the podium, introduce yourself. As stated, you've got a total of 10 minutes.
Thank you, Barbara, for putting all that together for me. I'm Scott Oakes with Diversified Plastics. I'm one of the owners with Diversified. We are a plastics rotational molding company. We've been in business for 35 years. We have 2 facilities, one in South Carolina outside of Florence, South Carolina, Conway area. That's kind of our corporate headquarters. And then my partner, he's at that location, and I'm at the Georgia location here. I'm a Walton County resident, live over in Good Hope, been here for over almost 30 years. My wife's family is from that area. So we're glad to be close to home. We had, this plant was actually down in Greene County, down in Union Point, and we had the facility there for almost 5 years. We outgrew it. Had a really good lead on this this property coming for sale. So we jumped all over at the end of 2019. We closed on it December of 2019. Started moving our facility over this way sometime in 2020 during the middle of COVID. It was absolutely terrible to move a plant, to open up a new facility, to meet the guidelines and the requirements that the city here and the county here were wanting us to do. So we actually probably didn't get up and running until end of 2020, first of 2021. So we're growing. We're up to 62 employees now. I see that number coming to 100 by the end of the year, probably. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to add on to our facility. When we bought this building, it was called Smyrna Truck and Cargo, and it was in terrible shape. I brought my wife down to it, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, what are you doing? What do you see here?" I said, "I see 17 acres in a great location, great investment, and a great city, and I can do a lot of things with it." So we went to work. We've added fire hydrants around the whole place to make it safe. We put sprinklers in the building. We tore down the offices that were there. They had three single wide trailers that were out front that were horrible. You could step through the floor. They smelled. They were terrible. They were a hazard. So I tore those down, removed those. And now what I'm trying to do is add on almost 20,000 square feet. And of that 20,000, 6,000 will be office space. The front will be 3,000 square feet downstairs with 3,000 upstairs, which will provide a lot better looking facility than what we have now. Currently, Smyrna Truck and Cargo, they really beat the building to death. It's pretty bad. The outside looks kind of rough. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a really nice office up front, and we're going to have the rest of it will be warehouse, assembly area, stuff like that, because we're already we don't have any more room. So this is kind of a phase one project for us. I can see that we'll have probably 2 or 3 more phases onto this. Eventually, this is just going to get us into the offices and help us move out to the new warehouse space. So what I want to do is, when you pull into my driveway, it's all gravel. So we're going to dress that up. We're going to put asphalt per the DOT. They want me to do an asphalt driveway. We're going to do a nice asphalt driveway with a monumental sign out front that says DPI, and we're going to dress up the front. We're going to clean it up, and we're going to have a really nice, pleasing office when you pull up. Some of my customers are pretty big, Georgia Power. I've got the Gap. Let's see, we've got a lot. Goodwill's a customer of mine. We do all the tanks for Orkin Pest Control. We do a lot of dumpsters. I don't know if you ever rode by our plant, but we do front load dumpsters. We're in the waste business as well, so we do waste dumpsters for Waste Management, Waste Pro, all those entities all over the United States. We ship to Puerto Rico, we ship across the country. So, since we started, lost a lot of employees when I moved out of Greene County, but we've added a lot. We were probably up to 25 in 2020. At the end of 20, now we're up to 62, and like I said, and we're growing. So we're going to make that entrance and that office look really good, because I've got some serious customers that pull up to my place. And right now, we've just got some makeshift offices in there because we tore down the terrible office that they had. So it's going to look a lot better than what you see now. I just want to let you know that what you see, if you pull in, it's just a metal building that, just a regular manufacturing metal building. But when we get finished with it, we're going to have nice parking, nice offices, nice lobbies, break rooms, all the laboratories in the offices. So this angle here, you can kind of see where we've already took out some concrete and the offices are gonna come out. So when you pull up into the plant, you'll turn left, and then where those form boards, that's actually a trailer with form boards for concrete, that's all gonna be parking. And then across the front of the building there, here, we are gonna landscape that as well and put some nice bushes and whatnot up front. So, you know, eventually I can see us asphalting the whole property. Right now, we just can't afford to do that, but you know, we're growing, and we're looking forward to growing with Baltimore County Social Circle, and you know, just looking forward to having something nice that the city and the county will be proud of. That's about all I have. I hope I covered everything.
Just for, you've got 4 minutes remaining for rebuttal.
Okay.
Are there any questions of the applicant? Anyone have any questions of Mr. Rose at this time?
So when you say nice office space out front, do you have a conceptual drawing of what the front of that's gonna look like?
There's some drawings that,
Yeah.
so basically what we're doing is we're coming off with, I call it a lean-to, one slope roof off the main building at the same elevation. And the offices are gonna be built inside of that unit. So we'll have windows, nice windows and doors, and they'll be built into the plant. And then we'll have landscaping around the outside of it. But we are 350 feet from the end of that new addition to the road, plus all the trees. So and if you get the right angle coming across the railroad tracks, I don't know if you guys know where we are, but you barely can see the plant back there. So we're 350 feet from here to the road, and 300, almost 400 feet from here to the road.
Because the bottom road there, that's the bypass, correct?
Yes.
That's the park.
Okay. Yeah,
So we come in here now, this is the driveway.
yeah.
We come in here now, they had trailers here.
Mhm.
You're gonna come in, and you can go around the whole building, but you'll come in, signs will be here, you know, parking, nice parking area, office entry, this will be the office. And we're doing 3,000 square feet finished now, but I'm also putting stairs in, so I'll have 3,000 square feet upstairs because we're growing. And this is all grass here, we keep this cut now. And then our employees, there's a fenced in area here, and this is where our employees park. Okay.
Not right now. Thank you.
You mentioned you're going to asphalt the driveway per DOT.
Right.
Can you identify where you're going to add asphalt?
Yeah, see, the problem we're having now is the railroad tracks, okay? When they come out of that stop sign and they come across the railroad tracks, they're either going 5 miles an hour or they're going 60. And you cannot tell how fast they're going. So we're having an issue because of an incline coming out of that driveway for our tractor trailers and our employees being able to pull out safely. Because at that incline here,
Yep.
you actually spin.
Yep.
Your tires will spin.
Yep.
Yes, you'll spin on the gravel. So we're going to come down probably to the fence, somewhere around in
Barbara,
there.
can you go back to the site plan, please? Yes, ma'am, thank you. Can you?
Yeah, so there's a fence here.
Yep.
So our intentions are to asphalt this. So we want to be able to make sure that our tractor trailers, all their tires and their whole unit can be parked safely here. So when they pull out, you know, they're not causing any issues.
Okay. At any time, before you moved in, before you purchased the building, were you aware that this property was in this overlay, this corridor district?
You know, we met with Barbara and the past or previous city manager. I don't really think that I knew it was this intense.
Okay.
I didn't really know that I was going to have to come in and put, you know, fire hydrants around the whole place and some of the things that I've had to do. So it's been kind of costly, but it's worth it. So to answer your question, I don't really think I knew that I was on a parkway or parkway corridor.
Okay.
But I think Barbara might have went over some of that stuff with me. She's probably over there shaking her head so that she did. I know that I've got to put up a monumental sign because I'm on the parkway, something pleasing. You know, those are quite expensive, but and that's in the plan of this new addition as well.
And I rode by there on Sunday, and yeah, you are a good distance. The existing building is a good distance from the parkway itself, but the pine trees that are in front, they've got some height on them now, so you see underneath a lot of the vegetation, and you see the blue building as it sits
Right.
currently. Do you have any plans to provide any supplemental plantings underneath that for the idea that you hide that, that structure from the corridor?
You know, I like to be hid, because we do run a lot of products that we cannot store inside, as you can see by dumpsters,
Yep,
they're
you see
huge.
back
Yeah.
corner, yeah.
So we're trying to keep those around the back corner in the back of the building. If it gets to that, you know, I can't imagine that, you know, there's a lot of privet, there's a lot of other trees in the mix of the pines. If something comes up that we need to plant some privacy trees out front, we will.
And it may not be a visible intrusion come July, August, September, but here coming out of winter into spring, things are starting to bloom out. I know it's visible in the winter as well.
Right.
That was my two questions. And the reason I asked the first question about where you're aware of the corridor is there are architectural requirements.
Right.
And looking at the building, I'm very familiar with Stilco. Looking at the elements of the building, they don't comply with the ordinance requirements as far as material. I guess this is something you weren't aware of?
Well, we've looked into that with Miss Barbara there, and I'm under the impression or understanding that what we are putting on the building meets the requirements in our area.
So as far as that, looking at the architectural requirements, it states brick and wood siding are the most common traditional building materials in the city. Brick is the preferred exterior material. Materials having wood siding appearance such as hardy board and hardy plank are compatible substitutions provided that the proposed reveal is similar to that of existing examples. Aluminum and vinyl are not permitted. Stucco, not including ephes, is acceptable in limited areas. So when I read that ordinance, the metal Butler building, metal panel building, you have to have a finish on it that's not metal. So like a brick veneer, hardy panel veneer, stucco, things like that, so you don't have that metal appearance. When I introduced the item, I stated it's a legal non-conforming. The existing building was prior to the ordinance being adopted.
Right.
So it can remain in its condition as it is. By the ordinance, any new structures would have to comply with the material requirements and all other site design requirements. That was one thing I noticed in the application, is that the building did not contain any of those elements. Have you guys given any thought to that?
We looked at it. My building's already on the premise. I mean, it's already there. It's been there since January. We're in the design phase now, getting a full engineered set of plans, site drawings, all that stuff. Miss Barbara, I mean, I don't know if I can comment to her or not, but when we talked, I thought we were good because we were on the light industrial or on the, I don't remember our conversation. Because my engineers brought that up when they started reviewing the documentation that you're mentioning. They said, hey man, this thing might have to have some kind of brick facade or something like that on it. I don't see how you could brick 20,000 square feet, but maybe if it's something that I have to do, maybe we do a rock bottom on the office or something like that to give it an appearance that meets the requirements, like a wainscoting or whatever you call that on the bottom that dresses it up a little bit more.
Yeah, so a water table, like a brick water table, typically 30 inches is acceptable, but you have to go up from that to your roof line as well with some other material. And it would have to be the length of the building for the frontage, and the frontage and all sides, the three sides of the building, based on the ordinance, that's what it would have to be. Now, one option, as you stated, would be like a brick water table. Above that, you can go with the stucco, because that's an option in here, or a hardy plank, or a hardy paneling material, like those hardy sheets that are 4x8 that are decorative type panels. So it sounds like that if the building's on site, it sounds like you kind of went in this not knowing these are the steps up front. And you've got the building, you're kind of ready to get started, only to find out, hey, we got to pause and go through this process. Is that right?
That's pretty much correct. This process is you know, I hate to say it's costing me a lot of money. You know, we're ready to go. We have the pad ready. The form boards are there, so we're ready to start building. And you know, I just want to reiterate that this is going to be a very pleasing, nice structure when we get finished with it. It's going to be a lot better than what's there now. So
I don't disagree with you.
right,
That it's going to be better than what it is, but it still doesn't, the initial design, what we're looking at tonight, doesn't meet the ordinance requirements.
I need to reread those, and I'm sure you're correct there, sir. But you know, I've kind of been told two different things.
Okay. And tonight, Mr. Oz, we're just a recommending body.
Right.
We hold a public hearing, we make recommendations. City council has final decision. So just know that whatever may take place tonight is not the end all be all.
Right.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I would like to just say one thing. We did talk about this with Scott about, you know, what the material was, because the building was already purchased before he realized he had to go through the highway corridor ordinance. And I did ask what was the material, because it states in the ordinance that vinyl and aluminum was not required, or not allowed. So this is metal, but then our ordinance does say the front of the building has to be brick or wood. And it does state that. But we had already bought the building, so we brought the application before the commission.
Sure.
He could still build a metal building, he just has to put a facade on front,
That's correct. A type of material that's brick,
other than
wood, hardy,
wood appear.
or stucco.
Yeah, okay.
Again, that, unfortunately though, that adds to his unexpected expense.
Right.
But that's,
Yes.
that's not something that this board can take in consideration as the expense.
Let me ask you this question. If the brick facade or the, you know, that's a requirement, which is going to be costly, and I probably won't do it. I would probably just sell the building. I've already been offered money because I've been waiting to get this completed. What if I took the building, the offices, and put it on the back side of the plant so you can't see it from the road? It's not what I want to do because it doesn't lay out real well with my flow of my manufacturing facility.
Sure.
But, you know, I got to thinking about that because actually phase 2 is going to come off here, and we're going to add on to this as well.
Yes, sir.
Probably another 20,000 square feet. So, you know, I understand the requirements and what's in your city's bylaws or whatever, but, you know, we're bringing good jobs here, we're adding on to the plant, we're making it better than it was before, a lot better. You know, and, you know, I'm just looking for somewhere to grow my company, be able to pass the company on to my children. My 2 daughters work for me, one's in high school, one's out of college. So, you know, it's something that I hope my kids come into, and I want to be here for a long time, but it gets very costly. I just don't see how I can, you know, how I can keep that up.
And here's the dilemma. Going to be real frank with you. Yeah, we want jobs,
Right.
but we want quality jobs like you're bringing. We also want quality development, and that's why these ordinances were put in place, so we have a specific look that Social Circle desires, and that's what our residents have said we want to look like. I understand the predicament you're in. That's what makes it tough.
Right.
Is you're a local guy. You live in Good Hope, 20 minutes away, and with our corridor is prime for additional growth. So anything we put on that corridor sets a standard. This is not the only corridor we have. We have the North Cherokee corridor, Highway 11 that used to run through here. That's also a corridor that we have to look at, and that's what these ordinances are there to enhance and to require a specific look. So it is tough. You bought a building that's old, that's ugly. You're trying to grow your business here. We appreciate you trying to grow your business here. But we also have the standards for architectural that are set in place. We understand these are unexpected expenses for you. I you know, I see it all the time where there's a detail that gets missed, and it does come up to, is it worthwhile moving forward? Is it better to cut bait and go somewhere else? That's the business decision that you have to make, sir. The idea about moving it behind the structure, yeah, I'm not diving too far down into our ordinance, but I think that's an option that would prevent you from having to do that. Again, don't take my word on it because I haven't gone through this ordinance with a fine-tooth comb.
Right.
But just, you know, if it's you or the next guy, any addition or any new expansion would have to comply with the ordinance. If you sold and moved down the road and built a bigger facility, it would have to comply with the ordinance. And that's where we're stuck at. So I do understand the predicament you're in. I've been on that side of it. I hate the feelings you're feeling now, just kind of caught off guard, thinking, you know, what the hell's about to happen. Please don't feel that way. Easier said than done, I understand. But, you know, our job is to, here tonight, is to hear the case, compare it with the ordinance. If it meets the ordinance, we can recommend approval. If it doesn't meet the ordinance, we can recommend approval with conditions. And that condition could be add brick, add stucco, this, that, and the other. You know, I asked you if you were aware of this for a reason, because if you were coming to us and saying, hey guys, I've been made aware of this after the fact. I got my building sitting on site. I was ready to go. The city put the brakes on. I understand this. I could do a brick water table and do stucco here, stucco here, stucco here, these panels to break it up, things like that. That's what I can budget for. And if you had something like that, that we could look at and say, yeah, that makes it different. It's trying to meet the intent of the ordinance. That's something that we could possibly consider. But if it's not something that's in your budget, not something that you're willing to do, then I don't know if this board can help you.
Right.
Anybody else?
Could this be tabled into a future meeting so that he could allow his architects and his advisors to go over it?
Absolutely. I think that's within our right, and I think if Mr. Oates, if that's something you're willing to do, we can do that. Or you could say, you know what, I want a decision, I want a recommendation tonight, and I'm going to take my chance with city council and see what council does.
Right.
You know, that's one option. Another option is see what the council does, and if it's not a result that you like, then you can look at, all right, how can I amend my building and bring it back through the process? I know time is money because you're probably waiting to get this going so you can get
Right.
product lines rolling. That's ultimately a decision that you hold.
Right, and I understand your stance too. I understand you have a rules here that you got to go by, just like a neighborhood would be with, you know, if you lived in a neighborhood, you have certain things that you have to go by. I get that, but I'm 350 feet off the road. You barely can see my plant. You know, if I needed to plant some more bushes so you cannot see my facility, I would like the recommendation to go the way I'm proposing this, if I can. I'm a businessman. If I would have known that I would have had to have a brick facade or stucco building, I would have never purchased this building. I've got a $750,000 to $800,000 machine that's coming in 2 weeks. I'm already 30 days behind. I'm having to wait every 30 days to meet here. I don't have time to wait another 30 days. I need a decision made, and I'm hoping that you guys can understand that we are 350 to 400 feet off the road. You can't see my facility. We're trying to make it look better. If I put the plant and the office on the other side, you're still gonna have just a nasty front-looking metal building that's been beat up. And that makes no sense to me. So, you know, I'm just asking to, you know, you guys to recommend this to go to the council, and then I'll get with my engineers and architects and see what we can do. I don't want to go in and brick 225 square feet, 225 feet by almost 30 feet. And that makes no sense. I moved the social circle here thinking that it would be somewhere easier to work with. You know, I know I'm not Standards Color. I'm not Dark Container. I'm not some of these big places. I'm just a small businessman trying to do something nice here. And I think that's very pleasing. That's all I ask, you know. I mean, if you you could work with me on that, I'd appreciate it. And that's all I have.
All right, well, no other questions for the applicant? Just for meeting purposes, we have to open up a public hearing to anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this request. Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to the request? Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Okay, so that's following Robert's Rules of Orders, we have to open and close the public hearing. Now, this is where we're in deliberation. Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, the ordinance is what the ordinance is, and we can't not go by the ordinance.
Well, that's,
Can I ask a question about the ordinance? Are we finished with the meeting?
we're finished with public hearing.
Okay. Well, does the ordinance, does it have to be the whole entire side of this to be brick? This whole side here?
Any new construction
Yeah.
is what it's
So-
listed as.
So yeah, that would incorporate all three sides of that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else to do. I mean, that sucks, because I run a small business too, and I'm painfully aware of how much everything costs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And that's the predicament we're in. We try to balance
right,
the ordinance versus,
and it is currently an unattractive building. I'm not in disagreement. But I can't change the ordinance. As written.
let's ignore what your thoughts, feels.
Yeah, the ordinance is what you said, is what the ordinance says.
Office.
I agree too, I mean, that's what I said in place. I mean, you can't make adjustments after the fact if it's already set in place.
Yeah. That is the predicament. We're held to that standard. And it's a good standard. It's just unfortunate that the applicant didn't fully understand this going into it.
Right. I mean,
And for the record, Ms. Glinda, she has not been sworn in by the mayor, so she won't be able to vote.
okay. I mean, it doesn't meet the ordinance, so I can't make a motion to approve, to recommend approval. I'm not approving it. I don't sit on that board.
If there's no other discussion, I'll call for a motion. Somebody wants to throw out a motion. And if you do that, please turn on the microphones.
You want to go ahead? Oh, you're gonna hit the button. Okay, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna motion that I recommend, or I make a motion that we cannot recommend approval as written due to the fact that the building proposed is non-conforming to the current ordinance.
So for the record's sake, we have a motion to recommend denial of the proposal because the proposal material does not meet the ordinance requirements.
Based solely on that.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. That motion passes. And again, tonight, sir, we're just a recommended body. So the city council, they've gone against our recommendations in the past, and they may continue to do so. So they can approve your request as requested, they can approve it with conditions, they can deny it, or they can table it to another meeting.
So I still go for my May to something meeting?
with the
Even though
city.
you guys did not recommend it?
That's correct.
Okay, appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, so we have no other public hearings. Doesn't look like we have any old business. Doesn't look like we have any new business. Is that correct, Barbara?
I would like to let you know, on the new business, we are going to have the preliminary plans for the subdivision out on Alcoa in May. So those will be sent out as soon as we get through reviewing the preliminary plans. They renamed it because I asked not to be Alcoa, because we have Alcoa Drive. And so they have named it Westland Park subdivision. And we will be sending those out. We did receive construction plans for Connor Springs. We are reviewing those now, and we quickly looked at them, and we'll meet in the morning regarding those two items that will, the construction plans do not have to come back to the planning commission. It'll be just the final plat going to Mayor and Council on Connor Springs. But the Westland Park, this is the preliminary, goes to the planning commission next month, and Mayor and Council in June.
Remind me
and I
of
did-
remind me of where that one is.
Across from the water tower.
Okay, the one.
Right beside Laurel Oak.
That's right.
And like I said, I do want to apologize for the corridor ordinance. We did read that, and he had a metal building, had already bought the metal building, so I had to bring the application.
Okay. With no other new business, no other need to be here, I'll call this meeting adjourned at 6:45 PM.